It becomes very comfortable.
Yeah.
But yes, I was nervous. I said, but I have to get out there and I have to do it in a bigger way than just standing on a stage in front of youth.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and even speaking in front of a lot of people is something that I also want to practice, because I want to talk about why organizing is so beneficial to, and why what I do is much more than organizing, right? So I want to practice my speech more. And my client, she's so lovely today. The one that I told you that I'm working for, she's a minister. She's like, you don't have to practice anything. Just be yourself. Be authentic. Like, that's what people like to see anyways. And there's nothing wrong with your speech. I'm like, okay, amen.
I couldn't tell that there was anything wrong either. So, but I understand when you say what you say, because I felt that same way. But
because I'm very forgetful, like with words, and I'm like, yes.
Especially when you get in a situation, yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump in. Talk about it with Franj. Today we have two special guests. The founder of Mindful Spaces, Maria Mendoza, and returning guest, which today will be a guest co-host, Maddie Cheatham.
Hello, guys. How's everyone doing?
Hello.
Very good, very good. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. How are you doing?
Very well.
Good. I'm
Very
glad.
well, very well. All right, let's start off from the beginning. Where were you born?
Where was I born? I was born in New Rochelle, born and raised in New Rochelle. I am 35. So yeah, most of my life. I only lived 2 years in Florida, but yes, New Rochelle.
They never say to ask a lady's age, but you gave it to us.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, because most of my life, yes, it's been a long time in New Rochelle.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your childhood. What type of kid were you?
What type of kid I was? I was rebellious.
No.
Yes. I was very outgoing and rebellious, but that's because I'm the oldest of 3 kids. And 2 brothers. So my middle brother, he's 1.5 years younger than I am, and the baby, he's 10 years. So being that I was the oldest, and the only girl, I was rebellious.
How so, though? I can't see it. You seem like a calm, nice person.
Yeah, but
rebellious in what sense? You didn't listen to your parents?
Yeah, because my parents always wanted me home, and I didn't want to be home.
Nice.
And my dad were born. They were born in Mexico, very old-fashioned Mexican tradition type of father, very macho. So I was like, I'm not going to stay home and wash the dishes. I'm going to go out.
Amen. A rebel without a cause until you found one. So I feel that.
Yeah. And also maybe because, my dad was, since he was so strict, I think I was like I was looking for the love. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, maybe that's why.
What else were you into? Like when you went outside, what were you doing? Hanging out with friends?
Yeah, like childhood memories that I could remember is bicycles. I was always out on the block with my nearby neighbors. And I was more of a tomboy when I was little.
Climbing trees?
Yes. And I was always like probably one of the few girls playing soccer out of the guys, out of whatever. And so I was a huge tomboy. I love being outdoors. I love playing. I did sports, soccer, karate. I love socializing.
Nice.
Yeah, I loved being out. I got caught by the cops one time. Twice, actually.
Doing what? What age?
Because of, I was supposed to be home. I don't remember how old I was, but then I do. Maybe I was like 10 because my brother was about to be born. And my mom was pregnant, and I was like, she was sleeping on the couch, pregnant, huge belly. I still remember like it was yesterday. And and I didn't want to bother her. I was like, you just rest. I'll be right back. And then I go to my friend's house down the block, and I just see outside the window, it's getting dark outside. I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to go home. So then that's when the cops were all there, like, on the block.
What, your parents called the police because you were gone?
Yeah, I was missing. Yeah.
Wow. Drama.
Yes, yes.
Look at that.
I was, yes.
Rebel lifestyle.
Yes, and being that I have 4 kids, like that's one of the things that I try to be very vocal about is like communicate. Communicate, doesn't matter if I'm bothered, just like communicate with me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather you be safe than I be sorry that you
Yes.
didn't have the skills applied to be safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I think it was scary talking to my parents about like certain things, especially my dad. Like my dad doesn't look that scary now, but 10 years ago, like 20 years ago, that man was scary.
Totally understandable.
Yes. Like all of my family, like my cousins, all of my cousins were scared of my dad.
Really?
Yeah.
And what about junior high school years? How was that?
Junior year, well, that's when I went to Florida.
Why that move?
My parents wanted to buy a 1-family home.
Oh, nice.
Since we were living in a 3-family home in Rochelle, my dad decided to buy a property in Florida and give that a try, do something different, I guess. But my dad was here working, and my mom was with us in Florida.
Nice.
And
How did
so-
that impact you?
I think I was more rebellious than any other time, probably, because I didn't have my dad with me. So I was like,
Real freedom.
I'm free. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, that was 8th grade to 9th grade. Then I came back high school, and then high school. Yeah, that's a whole long story.
Let's get into it.
Yes. I was in high school. I had, the high school sweetheart. That was a terrible breakup. And then I remember, just I got closer with my dad around that time. And then I wanted something completely different because this guy was Mexican, right? And so I was like, if the next guy comes around, he cannot be Mexican. So then the father of my kids, that's when I met the father of my first 2 kids. He's Costa Rican.
This is still high school?
This is high school.
Okay.
Yeah, towards the end. And yeah, I graduated high school and he went to my prom, this Costa Rican guy. And then I was that was a very toxic relationship. I was with him for 10 years on and off.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's a little bit about my childhood.
Get it away from
It's
me.
getting deep.
Oh, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
Because where you are now is a result of everything you've been through.
Yes.
That's why we start from birth, where you're born, because
Yeah.
everything's an influence. Where you're
Yes.
born, even the language that's around you, the music that's around you, the music
Yeah.
and the language in the house.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've been learning. You really have to get down to the nitty-gritty. You really have to, and also embrace it too. That's not, that's a part of me, but that's not who I am anymore.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It
Yes.
just made you who you are, but that's not
Right.
you anymore.
Exactly.
And after high school was college or anything?
And so, yes, I went to WCC for fashion merchandising.
Fashion merchandising. What is that?
Nice.
I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly at the time because, this was straight out of high school, but I just wanted to be in retail since I was already in retail. I was
But
maybe.
what does, I'm asking because I really don't know. What does retail look like if you're going to college? What is the degree and what's the job in retail? Is it management or owning?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to go into management for some type of, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it exactly, but I thought maybe managing.
Okay.
Since I was already in retail, because I did a lot of I did Aldo's, I went Abercrombie and Fitch,
Ooh, the good stores.
Home Goods,
Nice.
Marshalls, yeah, and that's honestly where I got my love for clothing and organizing it. As far as closets, I became so good at it. And they recognized it to the managers because you have to, when it closes, when when the store closes, like the whole store is a mess, right?
Yeah.
You have to like fold and get it ready for the next day. Or there's holidays, like
Christmas,
the holidays.
I can't even imagine.
I had
Shopping
to
during
do.
Christmas time sucks, so I can't even imagine
Yeah.
cleaning after everybody's done.
Online
Yes.
for me, always. I try not to go into the stores. But when you say that you have great fashion sense, I'm going to co-sign you because all of the clothes that you donated, the people who came and got them, they were like, oh my God, these clothes are not only in such good condition, but they're
Yes.
fabulous.
Yes.
Even the
Oh,
shoes that you
thank
donated.
you.
And again, thank you for that because they came the next day, but they kept
Yes.
coming back.
No, and honestly, what I ended up doing is I ended up sharing that photo that you posted
Nice.
to the client because, it's not mine. It's theirs. It's the client's. And, but I guess it's me dropping it off and me
Yes.
deciding where it needs to go, where it should go.
Yes.
But yeah, that's where like my love for fashion started. But then I was lost.
Still in college years, or
I
after
left.
you left?
No, yeah, I only did like maybe like 1 year of school and I left. I didn't know what I wanted to do for a couple of years. And I was in this toxic relationship for a couple of years on and off too. And then I decided to go into medical school. I went to Stanford Brown Institute.
Nice.
They're closed now, but I went for my medical assistance degree. And then I worked in the Bronx. That's where I started working for ophthalmology right after that. And I already had my two oldest by Steven. That's his name. Costa Rican.
I was gonna call him Mr. Costa Rica.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
I'm gonna put Mr. in front of there.
I didn't want to say his name, but I'm sure he
So
go.
it's okay.
He gonna know.
You listen,
Anyways.
he knows he's Mr. Costa Rica. So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so, but nothing bad anyways, And then after that, I just stood in the medical field for a while. And then actually when I was working in the Bronx, it was terrible pay. And I wasn't really happy. Like, although I grew very quickly and I was a very fast learner, I wanted to do more. I was always intrigued with the mind. And so
Wait, but you're in ophthalmology, you said, no?
Yes.
That's eyes?
Eyes, yes. So that's why I wanted to do something more at the time. I was
see.
studying, I was doing ophthalmology. I was a medical assistant for two ophthalmologists at the time.
Still in school, or you left already?
This was I was going to go back to school.
Okay.
But I had already gotten my medical assistant certification.
Okay.
And so then I went back to school for psychology. And then I went to WCC. And this was when my relationship had ended with the father of my first two. And I was all in. Like, nothing could stop me.
Yes.
When I went back to school. Because I was like, this has to be my way out of getting myself out from living with my parents and with my two kids as a single mom. Right. And I graduated from WCC with my psychology major with honors, which I was really proud about. And then I went to Lehman. And then 2020.
Wait, what did you go to Lehman for?
Psychology.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. So what degree
going
would
with
that be?
That, I didn't get to finish it.
Okay. What were
Yeah.
you going for? What would that have been?
So I wanted to major and to get my bachelor's in psychology, but
Bachelor's.
what did I want to do with it? I didn't know exactly what yet. Maybe I thought so I could have a flexible schedule, maybe be a counselor in school. But the mind, that's something that I always was interested in, was the mind. And why people are the way they are, and
The
why they make certain decisions.
And why didn't you finish?
And my kids, so my kids at the time, 2020, that's when I dropped out. I had to homeschool them, and they were only in kindergarten and first grade. So just imagine, like, their basics. They didn't know how to use a laptop. I had to do a lot of therapy. My therapy at the time was not consistent, though.
That's when you started therapy, around then?
Yes.
And what was that like? You tried one therapist and then you
Yeah.
just stuck with them, or did you hop around?
No, I kind of hopped around at the time.
That's the way you should until you find
Yes.
what suits
Until
you.
now, my Rosa. That's what I call her, my
Nice.
therapist. I always say my Rosa because she's amazing. But yeah, the therapy at the time was like you said, you really have to find the right fit. You know, although I liked my therapist at the time, but what's crazy is that it went into virtual because of the COVID times. And so that wasn't really doing much for me. I really needed the in-person with her. And I liked that she was like Spanish. She was a little bit older, like around my mom's age too.
Yes.
So she understands the culture.
Felt familiar, yeah.
Yes. And then after that, my mom was pressuring me. She said I had to prepare myself because my parents were planning on retiring.
And moving out of New
And
York?
moving out of, yes, they wanted to move to Mexico.
Nice. What part?
They're from Michoacan.
Go back there?
Yes,
Nice.
Michoacan and Jalisco. And so I was like, all right, so this is it. Like, I have to leave school and I have to go back into the medical field. And then I started working for eyes again, but this time it was retinal. Retinal is the back of your eye. It's a specialty for your eyes.
Isn't that like really connected to your brain?
Yeah, so that's connected to the back of your eye. That's the back of your eye where it scans everything from the front of the images, right?
Wow.
And it sends the signals to the back of the brain.
So essentially, you started working with the mind, but
Right.
not in the capacity you wanted to at that point.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Because, I mean, although, like, I enjoyed, because of the mind is medical, right?
Yes.
It's still very related.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what was I going to say? So, yeah, in retinal, there's a lot of elderly patients. Most patients are, like, coming from nursery homes, and that job was very difficult, like, to deal with so many emotions. And it's like therapy. You really have to be very passionate, very empathetic, very patient with elderly patients, you know, because most of them come in wheelchairs or they're in walkers, and especially for people who are struggling, who are losing their
That was
sight.
the first thought in my mind when you said that. The people who are
Yes.
losing their sight, they have to
Right.
be feeling a sense of hysteria
Yes.
about that, you know?
Yeah, and I've had to break the news for certain people. Like, I'm never going to forget this one patient who, she was very young, and I had to tell her that she had a disease that's not curable
My
for her eyes. So, yeah, that's where I was then. And
Do you have any tips for someone to take care of their eyes or retina? Is there anything to prevent any of the illnesses or wear and tear?
So, yeah, usually the doctors always advised multivitamins, vitamins, eating healthier, exercise, not smoking or drinking. Because all of that really, especially more the smoking.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it
But it's
cigarettes or is it
amazing.
just inhaling physical smoke?
They just said smoking in general.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I learned a lot in the medical field.
I
It's
bet.
something that I still carry with me. Like, I miss the staff too, and I miss the pace, because you could see up to 100 patients a day.
Nice.
But yeah, and then I got pregnant with the baby. Oh wait, I forgot Hugo all in this.
Hey, shout out to
Don't
Hugo.
forget
Yes.
Hugo.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
whole time talking about something
Yes.
like
Mr. Mexico, Mr. Costa
Yes.
Rica, and Hugo what's his nationality?
He's Mexican.
Oh, listen,
Yes, so
never
then-
again, and you went right back around.
Yes, because
Right.
of that toxic relationship. I was
I got
like,
you.
I
No,
can't.
it's totally understandable.
Yeah.
I swore off Puerto Ricans, and I
Yes.
don't think I've dated one since 2007.
Yes.
So yeah, there's that.
Did you, just give you a little break? I know we've been hitting you with questions.
Thank you.
Therapy. Do you have any experience with therapists?
No. I would say the shirt that you're wearing actually is one of the first. Yes, one paso. Shout out to Maria. Shout out to Navi the Prophet. Shout out to all of you guys and
Strategic
gals.
reward today.
One of the first organizations whose events that I've gone to, they have coffees and conversations where I actually was able to release trauma, and that it dawned on me to create She Manifests Her Destiny, which I first stood in front of a group full of women, and I spoke about my trauma and how I overcame my trauma, and that is with God. I'll always tell people everything with God, God first. But yes, that's as far as therapy. I therapy myself and other people I come in contact, like you, Franj. You are a form of therapy for people, and I don't think that you know that.
Yes. I know it, but I didn't know you're the first person to actually say it.
Yes, after coming on your podcast, and this is what I've been dying to tell you this, actually.
Let's go.
After coming on your podcast, you actually gave me the courage to then go on and further speak up for myself and further, progress on my goals and my dreams, and not continue to listen to the things that people were saying, because truth be told, if I was supposed to think their thoughts, they would be thoughts that God gave me, From you, I went on to discover mindset matters so much more than the outside world and anything else that anybody can think, and that as long as you continue to go on and still use your voice, you'll still be able to find yourself and dig yourself out of that deep, dark hole. And so when you said that you needed to educate yourself, that's one thing my late mom impressed on me, is that education is your way up and out of anything that's plaguing you and holding you back. So when you said that, it rings true for me as well. So education has also been a form of therapy for me.
So what's your form of education now? You read books, or you're actually taking classes or anything?
Absolutely love books. You gave a bunch of great self-help books, actually, but I love self-help books. I do a ton of classes. I take programs, and I am avidly studying divinity and metaphysics all the time, as I'm a doctor in that. But it brings me closer to God and the understanding of people in such a way that I am not here to judge anybody for any discretion, whether it was against myself or other people. I am here to be a beacon of light and hope and help and love to anyone who needs it, no matter who they are or how they trespass against myself and other people. It's bigger than that. We're connected by an invisible chain or thread.
Oh my God, yes.
And it's getting weaker every time that we go against each other. And so, metaphysics teach you that, we're a whole, and we come together because of God. We have God within us, and he's all around us. And so without impressing the principles that God impresses, you really can't be the spiritual being that you want to be. And so that's where everything falls in line for me.
I like it. All right, if you're ready, we can continue your life story.
Sure. I was like, wow, that was deep. That was so good.
Absolutely.
You sure you want to go back to me?
Yes, ma'am.
My story's... just kidding.
Your story is deep. Listen, Maria, I'm learning things about you didn't speak to me about before. I'm impressed.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, I forget where I was now. Where was I?
You met the man of your dreams.
Oh, yes. Well, actually, Hugo, he was a friend of mine since middle school.
Nice.
And then we reconnected several times. Like, he was part of my close group of friends in high school. And then, again, I saw him. We reconnected when I was in this toxic relationship. I was still with him. And my high school sweetheart's family invited me over to go to church with them.
Nice.
And at the time, he was fully devoted to God. And I found that attractive. But then I kind of just let him be, and I moved on with my life. And then we reconnected with the same family. And then we started dating. Yeah.
That was alignment for real. And God.
Yes, because we were also like very lost with I'll speak for myself, but I also had lost, I don't know if faith is a word or trust. I would say trust, because I started questioning a lot once I started going to school in college.
Oh, wait. Questioning what?
Like my religion, what is, like, who is God? And what is really true out there? Like, you know, I was questioning a lot because when I had this class, it was a religion class. They talked about like where religion started from, you know, and they talked about all the religions after, you know, the Jewish religion, Christian, and then blah, blah, blah. So it makes you wonder, like, what is really true, you know?
What was your conclusion?
And so at the time, I thought it was more spiritual, like God is within me, you know, if there is a God. And then I also was into like Buddhism.
That's a good one.
Yeah, like more into spiritual religion.
That's the real stuff.
Yes.
Because looking outward for stuff is not real. And that's what some religions teach, where it's outward.
Yes.
Praise this, believe that, talk to this, but it's really inside.
I feel like every other religion is like that except for Buddhism, and that's what led me to that.
Yeah. So where are you today with it?
So today, I am all about Jesus Christ. I am.
So what made you believe backwards? Because if you're slowly seeing everything as the big picture, why would you hone in on one again?
Because the Bible is only, like, there's a lot of, you know, testimonies that it's true. Like, there's a lot of things that.
Well, what's true? The people in the story?
Yes. And not just that, but I feel like God has really put me into certain things in my life. Like, I started going back to church. I started meeting certain people that were all like, it was, I can't just neglect it, especially after what happened, like my story with my business. So for everyone who doesn't know, I am a professional organizer. My business is called Mindful Spaces.
27 minutes in, now we're getting to the juice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that started a year ago.
Perfect.
Yes.
Let's do it.
That's
How'd that begin? What was the initial idea to create this?
So after my pregnancy with the baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were helping yourself first? Is that how it started?
Yes. I needed a professional organizer because we were moving all of our stuff in. We blended our family.
How many kids is that total?
We have 4 kids.
Nice. God bless.
Yes, thank you. And so, yeah, it was very chaotic, and I needed the support. And I'm like, and Hugo was like, just get a cleaning lady. I'm like, it's not the cleaning. It's just like there's things that don't belong where they belong. And I'm like, I am going crazy in this house because everyone's just throwing stuff and just piling things up. And at the time, I was still going through the postpartum, right? So I just decided to do it myself because I didn't like the customer service from the person that I had reached out. I was like, I could just do this myself, and it's really expensive. And so I did. And my oldest also has ADHD. She was diagnosed 2020. So I've had to find solutions that work for everyone because everyone functions differently. Everyone's mind is wired so differently. So what works for me is not going to work for my daughter.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and what works for Hugo is not going to work for me.
No.
Yep.
And so I really had to kind of like play with it, just play with solutions. And so, yeah, that's what inspired me to do my own business.
And what came next? You did it for yourself. You realized you can do something that you're about to outsource. You can do it yourself. And that was the light bulb to do it to help people?
Yes. And then that was my starting point. I was like, and Hugo, being that he is a business owner and he had just opened up the Gentleman's Lab around the time too, he was like, just do it. Like, he was encouraging me. And my mom was a hairstylist. She had her own business.
Nice.
She was like, just do it. And I'm like, all right. So I'll, you know, and so I did, but it was very slow. I picked up at the beginning and then it got very slow. But the thing is that you really have to like pour it love, just how you put love into yourself, and like you have to work on yourself daily. You have to put work into the business, because if not, it's gonna collapse.
Absolutely.
And so I didn't know who I was at the time. I had like, I was also still sort of like insecure, figuring myself out. And I've had to do a lot of therapy, and I started therapy around that time.
Okay.
And that's my Rosa. That's her name.
Nice. Thank God for Rosa.
Hell yes. She will put me in my place. She will say, like I told you guys she'll be like, hold that, if you're not gonna change, or if you're not gonna work on these techniques, you're gonna suffer the consequences. Right. That's basically how she says it. But I've learned a lot through therapy. I've learned, I was a people pleaser. It's like I had no boundaries. I've learned how to set boundaries. I've learned she held me accountable, and also be accountable for the stuff when things happen day to day, because it's really up to you.
100%. Did you learn about minimalism in your search to do stuff?
No, I just kind of, although that is, to be honest with you, I feel like that word is kind of scary for some people. Yeah.
You could reword it to not scare people, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Because when I've studied minimalism, and I use it in my life and in my writing and in my teachings, and it's a way of decluttering your physical world and your mental world, because you mentally have that memory of where everything is.
Yes.
So if you clear it out of your house or your office or your job or wherever the case, even your car, it's out of your mind. So you're decluttering your mind as well. And and when I was studying it, the way to do it is combine everything that's the same. So all of your, let's say it's the kitchen, all the forks, all the pots,
categories,
put them all together. Then you have everything separately.
Amen.
Now you know
That's how I do it.
Now you know how many pots you have, how many forks you have. Maybe you might not need more.
Yes.
Maybe you do need more.
Yes.
And it's with everything, with the clothes and the bathroom. And then you could use that throughout every room, and even, the 3 rooms of the mind.
Yes.
Amen. Yes.
Yes. Decluttering.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it with organizing. I take everything out. If we're focusing on one room, I take everything out from their drawers or anywhere, underneath their bed, and I categorize everything.
Perfect.
So that way you see what you have of how many of whatever, and you're able
42 white socks.
Yes.
Why do you want 42 white socks?
Yeah.
How often do you do laundry?
You're one person, especially if you're one person.
Unless you do laundry every 40 days, you don't need 40 socks.
Yes.
I know.
And yeah, I've learned a lot. And she also taught me procrastination. Also taught me it's okay to not be perfect. No, you're not gonna be perfect. And I love that I could be very authentic with my business. Something clicked in me when I started doing these classes on Wednesday.
I love them.
Yes.
What is that?
It's Wednesday, Women Enterprise
I can't
Development Center.
She got that, but you can take free classes on there. To develop your skills more. I really love them, and there's another one I can't even pronounce, but
yes. And I believe I believe it's a nonprofit, or they just give grants to local women business owners. So I started taking a spring course with them, and this is around the same time that my business started picking up and God started showing up in my life more. Yeah, and also everything just clicked after Rosa, and especially Wednesday, being just with other women, it really has helped me embrace who I am into my business. All the imperfections, because a lot of organizers strive to be perfect, and they don't show.
The breakdown behind striving to be perfect all the time is really, really hard. It's mentally taxing. It's emotionally taxing. It's physically taxing. It's something that I've had to stop doing myself. So you're touching on a lot of good things, Maria.
Yes.
I appreciate this talk.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, because like they don't show that systems fail. Like, you know, why do systems fail? Because people change. Things happen in life. You know, there's trauma, there's like anything, or just your kids, for example, especially kids with mental health disabilities. Like, what works for this person today may not work for that person in a week. And you have to be flexible and also, like, you know, to knowing that, right? And accepting that.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about mindful space. If you were to define it, how would you define mindful space? What is a mindful space, or like the title, how it came up, or anything around there?
Well, that's such a great question. No one has asked me that yet.
I swear, that's told to him all the time.
Yes.
Like, he literally can stop someone in their tracks.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
But because I love the mind, and because I believe that there's a reason behind the clutter. Like, there's a reason. There's something behind the clutter, and that's your mind, right? I think that's what made me come up with that name, Mindful Spaces, because and it also is counterintuitive. I wanted to be a space that's very mindful.
I like it. What's the first thing you notice when you walk into a new home to declutter?
The first thing I notice is the client.
Nice.
I want to feel the energy by the client, because usually most clients are very, like, they're at the point where they're desperate. They need the help, or they want the help, right? And they're also afraid because they don't want to be judged and of embarrassment. So I notice the client first, and then, you know, I try for them not to take me to their space right away, but they're like, let me just show you, most of the time. So, yeah.
Do you think it's laziness? I know that you said the root could be many different things, but on the surface, it's laziness. So what's causing you not wanting to do what you need to do?
So laziness, I don't know why that reminds me of my daughter who has ADHD. And they're not lazy. They just can't, they don't have the capacity to take on so many tasks, like, at once.
But they can. I mean, let's say somebody lives in a messy place.
Yes.
They're there 24/7.
Yes.
They do have the capacity, the time, and the physical effort to do it.
Right. They just don't have the skills to do it. They don't have, or they haven't been taught by someone.
I want to say
or
yes
guided.
to that, but I'm going to say no. Because some people don't have the mental capacity when so many other things have happened to them and crashed down in their life. If you're in a dark hole, the last thing you're thinking about is keeping your space clean or keeping yourself clean, especially if you have children. Like, you're lucky if you can keep them clean and out of the way. Some people are really suffering mentally to the point where some of them never even come back. Some of them don't have people like us who are sitting here speaking of things like this.
Exactly. They don't have the resources.
Some people are really heavily affected by sexual molestation, by so many things. Some people are not loved enough in their childhood to be able to come back from that. It's okay. To be able to come back from that.
That's yours?
That's mine. Do you think you could pass it over? I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yes, but it's true. They don't have the mental capacity.
Yes. They don't.
Yeah.
You know? And so while you're right, yes, but there's also a no, like, completely. I've seen it, but I never like talking about myself, but I've been there before.
Amen. Me too.
And when you speak of the 10-year relationship that you were in and it was just terrible, yeah, you know, never did I ever think that I would, and I professed this as a young girl, seeing what my mother went through. My mother was a single parent of 7 children, 5 with my dad, 2 with my stepdad.
Wow.
You know, the last argument that my mom and my stepdad had, and he was like, this guy was an asshole, an absolute asshole, but someone who liked to rule over women. I think he called, it was something that he called my mother, and She told him to spell it. Spell it.
Oh
and when
my
he
God.
realized that this was her opportunity to finally, like, speak up for herself and her children, he just left. Just left. This is a man who would walk down the hall and find someone else to sleep with in the same apartment building that we live in.
How old were you?
I would say 7 or 8.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so hard.
Imagine being taken down the hallway from your house to spend the night in someone's house who you're told is a friend, a family friend of his, and it's not. So now you got to find out that you were taken down the hallway with your siblings to sleep in the mistress of, you know. And I'm heavy on the love that I have from my mother because I was the child who watched her go through everything.
Right. And how did you heal from that? Or do you feel like you're still healing?
I don't think you're healed yet. I think you should find a real good therapist. Healing yourself and just speaking to people isn't enough sometimes.
Healing yourself and speaking to people isn't enough, but I have healed from that. It wasn't anything that I experienced firsthand. It was something that I watched my mother experience. And although it was devastating to watch her experience that, I don't think it was anything for me to heal from, and the sense that, again, I didn't experience it personally to the extent that she did. Like, when they went in the room and closed the door, I don't know anything besides anything that happened besides what I saw. So as far as therapy, and here's my problem with therapy, and shout out to Rosa.
Yeah.
Because you sound like you had such a great experience is my thing.
Yes, I do.
And you don't often hear stories about people who have had great experiences with therapists. It sounds like she knows how to hold you accountable without projecting her day, her bad days and things onto you.
Right.
That's my issue with people, is that and sitting down and talking to people and trying that, people tend to project their bad days and the things that have happened that happened to them onto you and what you're going through, and that's not a healthy situation for anybody.
Just cut them off and try the next one.
Right. That's
how many it took you till you found Rosa?
It took at least 3.
There you go. I tried 2 and I quit.
Yeah.
So maybe the third one would have been my Rosa.
Yeah.
Not for real.
No, yeah.
It's where I learned how to be a light and a
And it takes, I didn't like Rosa at the beginning.
really.
I didn't like, so yeah.
She was too tough.
Yes, because like she was set with her boundaries too. Like I couldn't just like cancel or I couldn't just. She's like, what do you know? Like she was very firm with her boundaries, and that's exactly what I needed. I needed that, and I'm like, yo, she does not understand. She probably has no kids, but she has four kids too. She had 4 girls.
Yeah.
So, and she was also a single parent at one point. So yeah. And I see what you're saying though. They do project but they work on not doing that. Like they have to, but they're human beings.
Yeah,
right?
and that's right.
Yes.
That was my next point. That's my other issue with therapists is they're only human like me. And if I have the capacity to break down like that, I kind of don't want to pour my breakdown into anybody else to assist in potentially their breakdown. So as far as what my mother went through, it wasn't anything for me to heal from. It was for her. But as far as the 10-year relationship that I was in, yes, I would say that there's still some healing to be done as far as that.
I think it's a forever journey.
Yeah.
Because my therapist still, like, old habits are hard to break.
100%.
You know,
90% of human behavior is learned behavior.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's hard because especially, and I think it's so important to be surrounded by the right people in your healing journey because you could easily, like, you can crack. You can make a bad decision and that will determine, like, you know, like what you said, the domino effect, right? So, yeah, it's a forever journey. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm still trying to break from and still learning how to, which I've got, like, I'm such in a better place than I was a year ago thank God and thank Rosa.
Thank Rosa.
Rosa and God.
Yes.
Rosa
Yeah.
probably has a therapist, right?
Yes, she does.
There you go. Everybody needs it. Everybody could use one.
And it's the skills, and it's also acknowledging things that you don't know about yourself. Like, there's a lot of things that I didn't know about me. Like, for example, I love to have the last word because I didn't have a say or a word in my own family as a child, right? So that's something that I need to work on,
Yeah,
right?
same.
And also allowing my kids to have a word to express themselves, and but yeah, I think it's important. There's a lot of things that you need to learn about yourself with the professional that can understand and can ask you those questions and where it's coming from.
A good example, I said on this podcast many episodes ago, but it was an example where the reason a boxer has coaches in the ring, a ringside, is because when he's face to face getting punched and dodging punches, he's not seeing everything. He's not seeing the footwork. He's not understanding everything that's coming to him. That's why he's getting hit. But the coach from far away, zoomed out, can see the big picture. So when he comes back, he says, every time he hits with the left hook, it's because, look for his left elbow coming up a little bit. We're seeing every time the left elbow comes up, the left hook follows it. Now he can go back in there more prepared. So that's what a therapist is.
Amen.
Right,
And every time anything has happened to me and I've had to have a sit out, guess who my therapist was? God.
Talk about it.
I talk to God all the time, and that I feel, and I understand you guys' point. I'm not against it. God has been there for me every single time I've needed anybody else.
He'll always be there.
He will always be the only therapist I ever trust, because not only does he intently listen.
That's extreme. You're cutting everybody off.
Listen.
God is in every other human also. So
Exactly.
So you
which
need
is
to
why
speak with
I
humans.
still. I'm speaking with you.
Which is why you need
I'm
a therapist.
speaking with Maria.
I'm no therapist.
But you are, because God is within you, and the gym's
uneducated
Time's out.
therapist.
You don't have to be an
I'm
educated
a spiritual therapist.
And that's what I need. I don't need an educated therapist. I need a spiritual therapist. Okay.
Amen.
So right, like I'm not.
Yeah, like again, for me, it's both. It's God and it's therapy.
And it's Rosa.
Yes, it's Rosa.
It's God and Rosa.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, I could go on and on and on about the things that I've learned and that I'm still learning.
Amazing.
And what I like about her too is that she also gives me books, because she says that one session a week is not enough. So you need to practice, So I really enjoy it. And actually, I was in therapy twice a week, because I was like falling off, where I was probably getting depressed, or I was depressed. And not until a couple of weeks ago, she's like, you're good. We could do 1 week.
Oh, wow.
So.
Nice.
Yes.
When it comes to a client that's like a hoarder, where they don't want to get rid of stuff, do you ever deal with that, where they're kind of pulling back and then not allowing you to do everything you need to do?
That's like a hoarder. What I always ask for boundaries.
You ask their boundaries.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I like.
But is that bad, because they're kind of holding back on the cleaning they need? Oh,
they're not ready, and I have to respect that too.
And that's a spiritual thing as well.
Yes, I like to respect their boundaries. I do. I'm upfront with them too. Like, if you don't declutter, it's not going to be possible to get to the goal that you want it to be like. So it's, it's your preference and your boundaries, but I'm here to tell you that can't happen without decluttering. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite transformation, a favorite client? You don't have to be specific, but something that stands out as like maybe you felt the best afterwards, or something like that?
So I'll share my calling.
There you do it. Let's do it.
So a couple of months ago, this is around the time that I started WEDC classes. I went to go see a client for a consultation. She found me on Thumbtack.
What's Thumbtack?
Thumbtack is like Yelp, where they could hire. Like if you're looking for a service for like moving,
Events,
cleaning,
all types
anything.
of things,
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
you could find them. And so she found me on Thumbtack. I scheduled a consultation, and I go to her building, and this is in the Bronx, couple blocks from where I used to live with the father of my first 2 kids, right? So there's that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting all of these emotions already because I haven't been here in a while. And then I call her, and it looks like she sort of forgot that we had the meeting set up, the consultation. But when I go to her door, she has a door open, and just envision like an elderly white lady. I would say like my mom's age. She's wearing this white t-shirt, probably no bra underneath. And she's like, and her hair is not brushed. Like she doesn't, yeah. And so I walk in her place first, like, I say hi, I greet her, like, but I could feel the energy. It's like low.
It's a mental health issue.
Yes. And then I see an aide in the house, and I also see clutter everywhere, like a hoarder home. But this is worse. This was not like, have you ever seen a hoarder show? Mm-hmm. I feel like they're more alive, like the clients, like, who, mm-hmm. But she was not all there because, she, like, you could tell when I was making eye contact with her that she was probably on drugs. Probably from the medication that she's taking because of her aid. I don't know, but definitely a health condition because there was an aid there.
Yeah.
And she had looked like no support maybe. I don't know how, I was like, I don't know how she was able to find me on Thumbtack. So that was my first thought. And then I also thought, how's she going to afford me?
It's probably the aide that called her, you think?
I don't think so so listen, I asked her, I'm like, where can we sit down? And the aide is sitting down in the only place that we need to sit down and have a conversation. So that bothered me. She took me to her bedroom where it smells like urine and clutter everywhere. So, yeah. I left that place crying. Yeah. I left and this is when I had just started coming back into work. After the slow period, I felt like that was God. Like, what is God trying to tell me? Because this is much more than organizing. This is support. Like, how can I support people who really need this? Like, and I felt like I had to do it for free. I told my therapist about it. My therapist was like, that's it doesn't seem like it's safe because if she was the one in charge of like reaching out, she could also turn on you. But then I was like, I need to have backup. Like, I need to have someone with me to take care of that job. And so I ended up calling her a couple of weeks ago because she still carries, like, that story, that experience still carries with me because it has really, it's for him. It feels like it's God for me. Because I never seen anything like that in my life. But yeah. That's her.
You still have that client?
And so when I called her, I told her, I was like, what is it that you can afford? When I called her a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, talk to your therapist, ask your therapist to call me to see if, if I could help you, if we could work something out. And I'm like, what is it that you can afford? And she's like, $100 an hour. And I'm like, what? I was offering you $60 an hour. And that's, again, that's how you know she's not all there, right? But yeah, I'm working on it because what I need is a team. I need a team, and I need
would
someone.
volunteer to help you do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and I actually found someone else that would like to volunteer with me. That's gonna take at least, I would say, maybe a week.
And so I'm gonna shout out Chicks with Broomsticks. You're a cleaning company that I've been in contact with. Here's your opportunity to work with me. So let's help Maria clear that lady space.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was the experience.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Let's end strong. You can let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So, sorry. My name is Maria Mendoza. I'm the owner of Mindful Spaces. You can reach me on my Instagram, Mindful Spaces NY, or you could give me a call at 914-484-0366.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Want to plug Your million IGs.
Listen, I have way too many IGs to plug in, guys. But what I will say is I want to end it on a note saying that therapy is necessary. It is very important for you to take care of your brain, but it's much more important for you to find a safe space, meaning a person, a place, and just, find yourself again. Find out who you are and do it on purpose so that nobody can ever tell you who you are ever again. And so thank you again, Francisco, for having me. And Maria, I absolutely love you.
Thank
you are extremely extraordinary.
Oh, thank
and
you too.
What you are doing is going to change the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I hope so. That's the plan.
You and the Daily Domino, I can't wait to see what you do with that, Francisco, because it's phenomenal. And when you say I need a therapist, I actually read what you do all the time. You sent me all of that, and so that helps. I've explained to you where you helped me at with that, and so
it's my pleasure.
Thank you guys again. Yes, God's plan, God's work. Yes.
Amen.
You mentioned Rosa. She gave you so much advice and good gems. Just leave us with one really good one.
Yes.
Anything that the viewers can really take.
My mantra.
Let's do it.
You are enough.
Yes.
Well, I am enough. I do enough. I have enough. So you have to constantly affirm that. Say it. I am enough, I do enough, I have enough. Because, you could sometimes feel like, God, I'm having a terrible day. But no, you're doing enough. You're doing just enough.
I am enough, I do enough, and I have enough.
Yes.
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you both for the great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank
this was fun.
My pleasure. And thank you to everybody that watched. Peace and love.